Stretch, stretch, stretchy, stretch, stretch.
Are you ready? Swing your mic over.
Swing. Check, check. I'm ready.
What's the deal?
What's the deal?
What's the deal?
What's the deal?
Yo, what's the deal?
What's the deal?
What's the deal? Hey, what's the deal?
Thank you. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Steve Discourse.
Hey, it's your girl, Jay Callie.
Another episode of What's the Deal? Thanks for tuning in. And we got to start with some bad news, unfortunately. Last night in Tallahassee, there was a shooting at a yoga studio.
That I know.
A man about 41 years old came in, shot 5 people, 2 died. He hit another person with his gun and then killed himself. So it was in like a strip mall, sort of. There's restaurants, retail stores, other stuff like that. And last week we had the man in the Kruger supermarket killed 2 people.
Yeah, I remember that.
We had the synagogue massacre
last week
in Pittsburgh. We had the pipe bombs we were dealing with, so not a good week for mental sanity, and I don't even know what else. It's a good week for people who are freaking insane.
But not for normal commoners like us. And you know what? I personally had a crazy week. Some of my friends also had a crazy week. It's safe to say it's just been a wild and crazy week. I do not understand.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens there. Florida is on the verge of getting a new governor. We know
they need one.
Their old governor, Rick Scott, who is running for Senate now, he wasn't super with it on reforming legislation for guns. They were in favor of putting, one entrance and exit into schools and things like that. So we'll see who comes out of that, Andrew Gillum or DeSantis. We'll see who comes out of that governor race and what they'll do, because this is 3-4 days ahead of the election. So we'll see more on that. What else do we got?
I don't know if this is better news, but your favorite company in the world, Google, has recently come under some fire, literally this week.
Okay, what did they do?
This week. 20,000 Google employees participated in a protest where they walked literally out of the job in protest of the way that their executives have been handling sexual harassment claims.
Damn.
Literally
20,000 left?
20,000 people. So Google currently employs about 94,000 people. So that means 20% of their company participated in this protest.
That's big.
And that's not just United States. We know Google has companies all around the world.
Yeah.
People participated in this protest in countries, most of it was in America, but also in Germany, Ireland, India, the Netherlands, Japan, even more countries than that. They're me too, basically. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Sexual harassment has been a big topic of conversation for the past, basically all of 2018. So for it to hit Google, a company that's everyone looks up to and thinks it's all great and fine and perfect, it's really shocking. It shakes people a little bit.
So what sparked this? There was...
Yeah, so someone in the company, I didn't write his name down because I don't even want to speak power to it. He was given $90 million to leave the company of Google after he committed a sexual assault.
Wow.
But it was quietly slip out, take this money and go, instead of handling the harassment. You get what I'm saying? So a lot of people got really, really upset about it, and they were saying it's so much other nonsense that goes on behind the scenes here in an attempt to preserve the sanctity of the name Google, but it's time that we let the world know because we're over being treated like this. So a lot of employees have actually made a list of demands, and the CEO has agreed to sit down and have the conversation with them. And so there are 5 demands, and I'm going to just run through them real quick. an end to forced arbitration in cases of harassment and discrimination, a commitment to end pay and opportunity inequity, a publicly disclosed sexual harassment transparency report, which means that sounds like there's more than just one.
So you can't get caught for sexual harassment and then keep that under rug.
And get paid
right?
$90 million. So that's not something that should be happening in any company. The fourth one is an inclusive process for reporting sexual misconduct safely and anonymously. And the fifth one is a commitment to elevate the chief diversity officer to answer directly to the CEO and make recommendations directly to the board of directors. So these are really strong, like they're 5, but they're impactful. But they also give a lot of insight as to what some of the issues are that have been going on behind the scenes. So it's interesting to even just read what they want to happen and to realize that this already hasn't been happening at Google. Like, it's kind of shocking. And when asked, one of the employees even said, Google is famous for its culture, but in reality, we're not even meeting the basics of respect, justice, and fairness for every single person here.
Yeah,
it hurts me to hear that, like, the company that's always all up and down my feet. I have a lot of friends that work at Google, and they're always like having parties and dancing, and it's so bright and colorful in California. And it's like, oh man, y'all got some stuff going on down there.
Yeah, and honestly, that's reflective of a pattern we have a lot of times where we take these companies we like, and maybe they do some things good that we like, but we put them on these pedestals and we make them, heroes and icons, but it's not all good.
Yeah.
It's not all bad either, not to say Google is like 100% villain, but I mean, these are companies and services that they just offer us a product. That's it. And we can like the product, leave it right there, I mean, a lot of people love Elon Musk. Like, they're wild about this guy. But, I mean, there's been, investigative journalism showing that the safety standards at his manufacturing plants are super suspect, and there's a lot of injuries, and he's very resistant to accepting his role in that. And I mean, to say nothing of the fact, do you care that he wants to go to space? That's just weird to me.
I personally love Elon Musk, so I might just get a little defensive.
Okay.
I'm already in my mind making excuses for him. I feel bad because I don't like making excuses for people, but I'm like, is it worth it? I feel so bad that I said that out loud.
Well, but my point is there's nothing is clear cut one way or the other, right? I mean, Apple, everybody goes wild for Apple. Apple has literally been found by law guilty of conspiring with their competitors to lower wages of employees and say, we're not going to hire people who work for each other's companies so that we can keep all of our payrolls down. And like, it's literally illegal to do that, and they've been found guilty of that.
Apple has been found guilty of a few things. So
right, I mean, not to say nothing about the tax stuff across Europe and things like that. And a lot of these companies are trying to be held accountable for things, for unscrupulous business policies that they do, because you got to be profitable by any means necessary. And we love the products. We fall in love with the products and that reputation. But behind the scenes, there's a different reputation that isn't always so happy and flowery, right? So, look, all I'm saying is just don't put a bulb on a pedestal, right? That's all. Buy your iPhone.
He's already on. Elon Musk is on a pedestal in my eye, but I'll just let the rest of I can happily admit that.
Right.
He would have to be convicted of like mass murder for me to be like, damn, Elon, why you do that?
That's a mighty high bar. There's so many other bars you passed on the way up to that bar.
I think I put too much faith in a person. You're not supposed to put faith in a man, but I'm like, I believe that he's revolutionizing the world. But anyway, I won't excuse him from foolishness. Elon Musk, get yourself together. You're making me have to defend you on air. Come on.
So, all right, but that's a massive walkout, 20,000 people. So
yeah, it is.
All right, so we'll keep our eye on that development.
I personally will.
Speaking of tech companies, 1, 2, 1, 2. Which we just called a lot of them out just now. Speaking of tech companies, San Francisco is a city like completely married and intertwined with the tech boom, right? Voting on Tuesday, they have Proposition C in San Francisco, which has been framed as a debate between like tech companies versus other people, regular San Franciscans or something like that. And what it does basically is there's a surging homelessness population in San Francisco the past decade. and a lot of it is because of rising rent, property values, all those things. Tech people moving in, tech companies moving in. There's no more vacancies, and it's causing a homelessness boom. So Prop C is essentially going to tax 0.5% of like gross tax income or something like that. It was a little nerdy for me. I didn't exactly know what that means, but 0.5% of income for companies making over 50 million, I believe, something like that. And that tax will directly go to homelessness services and affordable housing development and things like that.
That's a great idea.
It sounds great, right?
Yeah.
A lot of opposition to it.
Oh man,
a lot of opposition to it. And Seattle, we talked about this in the summer on an episode. Seattle was the city council was weighing a head tax, which was essentially the same thing. It was going to be a per employee dollar amount. If you have over like X amount of employees or X amount of income for the company, it was like $250 per employee, and that tax is going to go into homelessness and stuff. What it effectively amounted to similar cash value as this one in San Francisco. It wasn't nuts. I mean, you're talking about tens of hundreds of millions of dollars worth of these companies. So it was relatively small. But the point is, homelessness is surging in a lot of cities. And it's not just because of tech companies necessarily. Homelessness is surging in D.C. I just read a story about Charlotte's total failure at this program that they established for affordable housing. So homelessness is a problem everywhere in cities, and maybe even not in cities, but in many cities, it's becoming a big problem. So this is one effort that they're taking to try and take a stab at this. And what do you think about that? I mean, is it these companies' responsibility to foot the bill?
I do not think it's the responsibility of the companies to foot the bill to like get homeless people off the streets, because they're doing what we're all doing. They're trying to survive themselves. They're trying to grow. It's sad because things are never what they seem. Like, this is a minor issue, but it's really related to entire systems. The United States of America in general has work to do, but when you dwindle it down, like states have work to do, cities have work to do. I think it's a problem that everybody needs to have their hand in fixing. You can't say, oh, since you're going to move into this building where you don't no longer have space for people to live, you should pay for them to have housing. No, that's not how it works. The city actually should create more public housing for people to have homes where they can live, or create shelters. I know that seems like a basic and simple solution, but it's been working for so many years when they're ran effectively. So many places ineffectively run homeless shelters, and then they get shut down, and they literally just put the people right back out on the streets. Do better with the solutions that you're coming up with as a government, as a system, to prevent this problem, and when the problem does arise, to resolve it quickly and effectively. I don't understand why we're always looking for someone to pass the buck off to. We elected you as our officials to solve the issues that we have in this city.
And so they tax the company.
I don't like it.
No?
No. I mean, I think it's one part of the solution. I'm not saying don't do it. I already said I think it's a great idea. But we cannot rely on it as the solution to the homeless problem in San Francisco, or the solution if we had that particular thing in D.C. No, the solution are the people who I elected and hired to represent me to solve the problems that we're facing in this city, in this state, and in this country.
But the resources got to be there. So if more people become homeless, we need more money to spend on it.
The resources are there, and I can't speak to this professionally today because I didn't expect to have to say it, but the resources are there. Governments mishandle and misappropriate resources every single day, and then they pretend like they never had them in the first place.
That's true. That's true. But then again, you know what? I'm going to say, you know what? Government is just incompetent, and it costs more money because we waste a lot of it. So be it. I'm okay with that.
Exactly.
I'm all right with that, because I'd rather them make the rules and the budgets and mess it up, and then we can hopefully hold them accountable, rather than Google. I don't want Google to come into my town and make the laws.
Now Google's coming in like, if I give you $100 million, now we get to be the governor.
That's how it was like back in the Wild West or whatever. At least in the movies, like these like mining barons would come into town and they'd be like, "We're the law now," and they would like pull everybody around and push people around, right? But I mean, I don't know. Tune like people say government should be run like a business, but government's not a business.
No, government is government.
They say that because they want efficiency, and they say, well, a business could do this way more efficient. And it's like, okay, but a business has interests for itself. The government, in theory, is supposed to be for us and all of us. So if it takes us this much money to do it because it's just kind of inefficient, I say, you know what? But that's what government is. It's just a little bit inefficient. Precisely. But it's technically accountable to all of us. So I think it's a good idea because they come in there and the city gets the boom. The companies get all the good benefits out of it. But there's a downside to them coming in as well. And I think the companies, with the tax breaks and incentives they get, they need to understand both sides of their impact. And it's hard for them to do that. And so I'm definitely big in favor of this. I mean, it's a complex issue, so what's the real solution? Hard to say.
While we're on this break, we want to remind you, do not forget to share the podcast. Share it to all of your social media platforms, your Facebook, your Instagram, Twitter. Don't forget to use the hashtag #What'sTheDealPod whenever you share anything. And like and subscribe the podcast on iTunes, Google Play, wherever you listen. Thanks for spreading the love. You know we appreciate you.
All right, so what other stories we got on the radar?
So just when you thought your favorite city couldn't get any more progressive, Washington, D.C. recently voted to see if 16-year-olds will be able to vote in local and federal elections, including the presidential election.
Wait, presidential election?
The presidential, like literally, if you're 16 years old, this hasn't been passed yet. It's been passed up on the local level. It's now going up to like, I don't remember what the top level is. The
Judiciary Committee in the city voted it.
Yes.
It's going to city council now.
Yes.
Yeah,
exactly.
Okay.
Thank you. 'Cause the politics, I'm still learning. I'm just becoming a real adult like this year. So, I'm getting into the swing of things. But yeah, so exactly what you just said. So it needs to go through one more vote before it's actually like official that in Washington, D.C., 16-year-olds can vote. But right now it's looking very promising because it's been passed up twice already.
So I will say I knew this was kind of on the radar, and I've heard it kind of floated in other towns and cities and states. I saw a video from one of the council members who was proposing it, and I went in, I was like, this sounds like a dumb idea. And I watched the video, and I was like, you know what? I'm completely neutral about this now.
Should be able to vote.
He totally convinced me to not care either way. So I'm not in support of it. But I was like, you know what? All right, I'll let you do this. I'll let you go for this, man.
Well, they make it sound really pretty when they say things like, oh, we're going to empower and enfranchise young people and give them the influence to make political change and have their voices heard nationwide. And I'm like, yeah. Also, I'm like, wait, but 16-year-olds don't know anything. Like, I barely know anything. So, like, seriously, I just didn't even know, like, how this law gets passed because I took civics in 6th grade and then government in 12th, but I forgot all that stuff. But, yeah, like, 16-year-olds don't really know anything, so it's like I'm all for it on one hand, but then on the other hand, I'm still a little bit hesitant about what this looks like. And you know what? My first thought, and it's probably what everybody else out there is thinking, it's literally in the U.S. Constitution that the legal voting age is 18, the 26th Amendment. However, that does not stop cities or districts, in this case, from lowering the voting age. I don't understand government anymore.
It's probably just for local issues. So the Constitution probably is for federal stuff for the whole country.
But they're going to be eligible to vote in the presidential election, which is federal. So I'm confused now.
I mean, we don't even get representation in Congress anyway.
True.
So maybe we're just going to take an unofficial vote
I
for
personally
president.
feel like D.C. should just be able to do whatever we want to do because, like you said, we don't have proper representation and we're going rogue out here.
I'll tell you like this. 16-year-olds, I mean, like 1/3 of the country as adults, something like that, maybe 40% vote as it is. Mm-hmm. You know what? We left the lane open. There's plenty of people not voting, so it's like we need more voters, maybe. So you know what? Come on in, let them do it. And let's say that's like 1 out of 3 people as voting. So 1 out of 3 16-year-olds, sure. Is it going to be the worst, least informed, least prepared of the 16-year-olds being the ones voting? Probably not.
It won't be the worst, but it definitely will. In my opinion, it will be a little worse. Like when I was 16, I thought I was so smart. I thought I knew it all. I had my head all big. I was getting hyped up by everybody. Now I look back on 16-year-old me and I'm like,
That was a mess.
Not smart. I was a child, and I was an idiot.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of how I feel too. I mean he made the good points that it's like, look, they can work. We can take their tax money from work. You know, they can drive, all this and that. And I said, all right, fair enough. Sure, whatever. Let's try it. We can take it back probably if we need to.
I'll have an open mind, but if they make one mistake, then it's over.
You know they're going to organize, and they're going to vote to like legalize. They're going to vote to outlaw school.
Wait, when you just used that word organize, it gave me a great idea. It could be wonderful for 16-year-olds to vote. However, I think that some really like politically literate organizers should get together and like host classes for them, make sure they're well informed. Like there should be a process that they have to follow that's different from what 18 and up has to follow in order to be eligible to vote. It shouldn't just be if you're 16 you can vote, but if you're 16 and you've already graduated from this voting course, then you are eligible to vote. Maybe. Just throwing something out there. You know, I'm no genius.
Here's the problem. A lot of research around the country has shown that most Americans, I forget the percentage because I didn't know this was going to come up. Most Americans would actually fail the citizenship test.
Yes, but it shouldn't be. It shouldn't have to be something that rigorous. The citizenship test is
it's
ridiculous.
not ridiculous. It's not.
It is ridiculous.
It's easy enough. Shouldn't it be?
It's not.
Okay, fine. But now we're going to put these 16-year-olds through the hoops when they could just wait till they're 18 and be just as dumb as the rest of us.
Oh, God. We're going to go on and on and on about this. I can feel it.
I mean, all right, so we got to end it. But, yeah, no, I agree that I am super nervous. Like, 16, I know you can be smart. I know the March for Our Lives was amazing, and those kids did some amazing work.
Job.
And there's kids like that all around the country. But at the same time, I'm not sure. But let's go with it. Let's experiment. You know what? We got to make something happen. We got to make something work. I'm all for it. You know, if this is your solution, let's try it.
Put your hand in. Let's do it. 1, 2, 3.
Break. All right. Speaking of putting your hands in like a team huddle, last story we'll talk about real quick. Earlier in the summer, there was a University of Maryland football player who died from dehydration, heat stroke, and things on the football field. Big controversy. Up until this week, the university was planning on reinstating the coach because it was their view that he didn't bear responsibility for the culture of the team, which led to this young man's death. And in fact, the president of the university was against it. He was like, that's not a good idea. And he said, yeah, you're going to do that or we fire you. And so he said, okay, I guess that's what we have to do. And a day after they reinstated him, campus-wide protests and organizing efforts against it were successful, and they fired the coach. And I think that's notable because I get that wherever you are, whatever you're engaged in, you want to do the best you can, the most you can to win or succeed or whatever. And that translates to a football field or your job or wherever it is. If you're me, it translates to traffic. I'm going to get there fast. Right? Now, you don't know that's true. But at some point, you got to say when is enough, right? And football, I don't care how many careers and futures are on the line. It's football. It's not enough. It's not worth dying for. And some of you may think that, and some of you are football players, and it's worth it to you. Okay, fine. If you totally volunteer that, that's fine. But if the culture of the organization, if the pressure from all around you, from the administrators and the coaches is that much, and these are the risks you're put at, I can't get behind that by any means. So I think it's good that they fired him. Most people think it's good that they fired him. And we're going to see where it goes from there. But this almost in a way goes back to the first story we talked about how some of these companies that we love, we put on this pedestal and they can do no wrong, and we're hesitant to hold them accountable when they mess up. That's kind of how sports is a lot of times. in our country. We're not. They did not want to hold this man accountable, this coach. But if a team is struggling, one thing that you can hear a lot of times is, oh, the culture in the locker room is all bad. They got to hire a new coach to get the culture ready. And now this kid has died, and some people tried to make the case that the coach is not responsible for the culture in the room, in the organization. And that just doesn't make any sense. So thankfully the right thing happened, but it took a lot of protest for the people in charge to realize what the right thing was. And I think that's a problem. We got to stop putting sports and celebrities or whoever on these high pedestals and say, look, you're human just like me. You serve us the same way. I'm accountable to you. And we all got to work together in whatever ways we do for the country, for the town, for the university, for any organization to work together. And a young man died for, in my mind, no reason. So anyway,
it's really
that's my soapbox.
The perspective that the coach doesn't create the culture of the team, because I could see it both ways. Like, yes, the coach creates the culture of the team, but in some ways it's like, well, the culture of the team is already established. But when a new coach comes in, it's his choice to perpetuate that culture or to create a new one. So if you chose to just go with the flow, that doesn't relinquish you from the responsibilities of what happens now on a team that you are responsible for. And that's one of the things that's so scary about working with youth at all, is that if anything happens, the adult in charge is going to take that fall. And you know that when you go into this type of work. Yeah. So you have to expect to take that fall. If a child dies on my watch, I don't get to wiggle out and say, well, I was just, enforcing the rule. Nah, because when you see the emergency, it's your discretion to approach it and to figure out how to resolve it. Like, if you didn't do your job that we trusted you to do as the leader with these children, then there are going to be repercussions. Whether you're fired, blah, 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 I don't know. But you have to expect repercussions.
We're going to leave it there. So we're going to come back in a minute with an interview with Miss Hardy. She is a community member. She's an ex-veteran. Not an ex-veteran. She's a veteran. She's organizes and active she organizes community events in D.C. To combat gun violence and suicide. And we're going to talk to her about the efforts she does and everything she's undertaking, because suicide, mental health, depression, as well as just gun violence from criminal activity is a big problem in a lot of parts of the country. And I think this is a super far-reaching, implications, and she's going to give us some interesting information, a really great story, and hopefully inspire the rest of us to realize how we can get involved. So stay tuned, and we'll wrap up the show with that. All right, everybody, and we're back. What's the deal? Steve Discourse.
Jay Callie.
And we got, as promised, Miss Hardy, DC, is in the building.
Hello,
Thank you.
Hello.
So let's start with the very basics. You are a community advocate, organizer.
Yes, I'm Miss Hardy, DC, community activist. Been doing a lot in the community. It started in the beginning of this year. A young lady named Stormaya committed suicide. And I went around Wellington Park to kind of see what was going on, and I seen the community was really sad. So we did a pop-up and called it Guns Down Friday. Along with Stormaya's suicide, it was a lot of killings, a lot of youth homicide going on. So we decided to call it Guns Down Friday to kind of promote peace in the community. We just kind of come out, different nonprofits, different people. We come out and give out snacks, give out food to take home over the weekend, play games, listen to music, and just listen to the stories of the families. A couple of weeks ago, we had Relisha's Rug grandmother come out. We had a good time too. We just go out and just show love to the community.
What impact would you say that Guns Down Friday has had on the community since you started, doing this work?
Well, I didn't know it would get as big as it did. Like, I started off just me and my family wanting to do something small for the neighborhood, and I posted it on Instagram, and so many people reached out wanting to help, wanting to donate. I've had hundreds of people donate and just come out and support. We've had Black Lives Matter. We have a lot of online promoters. I got APAP and O-Dog to do a video for me, a little comedy video, trying to just finding creative ways for people to donate and see what's going on in the community.
What did you envision when you started this? I remember seeing one of your posts that used language sort of talking about occupying the space that would maybe otherwise be prone to violence. Is that the idea? Do you want to just fill those spaces with something else that's going on, or is this about taking people to another space? Or
I grew up in the same environment as these children, so it's nothing to do. After at nighttime, it's nothing really to do. And I say we because I was a child. We it's nothing to do. We're out just chilling. I went into one neighborhood and I seen like a little boy. He had to be like maybe 10 years old smoking weed.
Wow.
So it was just like, oh my gosh, like it's nothing to do. So I felt like because we do Guns Down Friday at night also. So I felt like, if we come out there, it'll kind of give them something to do because there's nothing to do at night. Parents are busy and kids are outside. And we just wanted to fill that void. I really didn't put a lot of thought into it. I just was like, okay, I see a need. Let's go out here and help.
So I heard you mention, parents and other people in the community. So I know this is something that serves towards the youth, but how are the parents participating and how are they receiving this initiative?
The parents love it. I was surprised because we always promote it for the kids, but we do it for anyone that comes out.
Yeah.
We give to whoever. But the parents, they love it. One lady, we had Guns Down Friday, and she brought 15 kids from the neighborhood. She was from a whole nother neighborhood. So she came out, and it was like, we were able to bless them. Like I said, we were just out having a good old time, 5-6-year-olds. And like I said, this is at night. We're just out there having a good old time. And usually in neighborhoods, it is a lot of violence. But if you really look in the neighborhoods, everybody is like family. The beef is with other communities. So, but when you go into these neighborhoods, it's so much love. We're real careful with what we say and what we do. We're kind of just there. It's been some ups and downs. We've had some people tell us not to come, but we went anyway, and they loved it.
People in the community?
We had one neighborhood that we went to, and we try to go into communities weeks after someone has committed suicide or homicide. So this neighborhood we went into, it was like the next day. So it was a bad time, and they were like, we don't want to hear about Guns Down Friday. Like, so we understood, but we was like, well, we still want to help. So we won't say Guns Down Friday, but here you go. Here's some snacks. Here's some, something. I'm going to pray for you and pray for your family. So it turned out being really nice. So
do you go to like the same location every Friday, or do you travel? Like, if people wanted to get involved, where could they find you? Well,
I post on my social media, Instagram. We do them every month. And now that it's getting so big, I really got to get the logistics side together. But we do it every month, and it's different neighborhoods.
Yeah.
I try to get the response, see what the people want. A lot of people reach out to me asking me, can I do it in their neighborhood? So I try to kind of listen to what the teens wanted, where they want it. And that's why I had it where I had it last time because one of the teens asked, "Can you, Miss Hardy, can you come in our neighborhood?" So, just wherever the kids want.
Okay. Is there involvement from law enforcement on this? What are your views on that?
Well,
because if some of it is about just community safety and violence among people in different neighborhoods and everything, then a lot of people are going to be wondering where police are and what that role is.
It's so funny because we, I don't know if I even should be saying this, but we go into neighborhoods. I don't have any type of license or, I'm not even a nonprofit yet. Like I said, I just started this. I seen the need and I just went out there and started. So we always have police ride past us, sit next to us, and we're like, okay, what are they going to say? What are they going to do? But they're always so supportive. Mm-hmm. They see what we're doing. Because sometimes I don't even know people in the neighborhood that I'm going in, and I try to find that one person, that one elderly that sees what I'm doing. But the police, they're really supportive of what's going on. Yeah.
So like Friday, next Friday, you're supposed to be in whatever neighborhood. You don't know anybody before you get there, and you show up that Friday and try and find somebody, or ahead of the time?
I show up that same day.
You're bold.
Yep, that same day.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay, so this isn't even. I mean, that's almost honestly even more impressive, because I think a lot of people in neighborhoods and communities where there are problems like this struggle with, like, when do you put your foot down, or how do you intervene or get involved to do something like this, and you're just muscling through, like, I'm here, we're here, and this is what's going to happen. That's really impressive.
Yeah. Ward 8 it's hard, and I go to different wards now, but Ward 8, it was like I was very comfortable in Ward 8 because I'm familiar with Commissioner Crawford and Trayon White, and they know their communities. So when I go and I know Trayon, or Commissioner Crawford is okay, but going different places, it's tough. It's tough. Yep. And sometimes communities, they threaten me and say, I better come back.
Wow.
Don't come around here one time trying to do something.
Mm-hmm.
These kids want you to come back. So I'm like, okay, I got y'all.
That's something I would say. I definitely have like a soft spot for Ward 8. I work in Ward 8, so you're probably serving some of my students. And I literally have lived in Ward 8 for years. I just moved out this week. So it makes me really proud to hear you talking about what you're doing in that community. Yeah,
I love Ward 8. I started off in Ward 8. I was working for a school, not for the school, but like a private company.
I know what you mean.
I was working for them, and it was so expensive, the program. So I let the Wellington Park kids go for free. Wow. So I got fired.
What?
Yep. So that's when I knew it was time to start doing something. That I can do something bigger, that I can do more, and this was just my calling to do it big.
Yeah, I appreciate you going rogue, being the local neighborhood Robin Hood.
Right. That's
I know,
good.
right? I used to call myself Robin Hood too.
That's funny. I know you have a few other things that you have going on, right?
Yes, we have the coat drive going on. The drop-off locations are at MLK Deli and Cheers across from the Big Chair. Shout out to them. Yep. And we have the cleanup in Clay Terrace. That's on Veterans Day. I teamed up with the Mayor's Office, Serve DC, DC Housing Authority, and the Mission Continues. And they're fixing up Clay Terrace and the Osei Center, which is the community center for the Clay Terrace children 13 and under. Yeah.
And I mean, the community center, I guess, in a way, is going to serve the same function that you're trying to do, I guess, right? Is just be a place for kids to go.
Yes.
Rather than being, like you said, out 10 years old smoking weed outside.
Yes. So we're just trying to, I call it add a little feng shui, because as we know, DC is changing, so there's no point of putting a lot of money into buildings, or because I want to do it all, but it's no point of doing all that when they're about to tear down half the stuff that's up. So we're just putting flowers, different little paints, and things of that nature. So,
okay, so step back from the immediate what you're doing. Do you have like a long-term vision or goal or dream of what is going to come out of these events?
Yes, I've so right now we're doing it in the communities, and I've linked up with a team called NARC, Cure the Streets, and we're actually going into the schools and doing assemblies, and we're talking about the gun violence and addressing things of that nature. So our long-term goal is to be in the schools and in the communities, so they can kind of see, people from their neighborhood involved. So that's our long-term goal, to really help the families and friends that are affected by homicide and suicide.
Okay. All right.
I'm so nervous. I don't know why.
No, you're doing good, and don't worry. We can cut that piece out where I asked her, and
you can leave that in.
Yeah,
there.
but you're doing good.
Thanks.
I mean, this is just so impressive. Honestly, it's really inspiring because, like I mentioned earlier, it's just really hard for people to know how to actually start making change. Mm-hmm. So, do you have, in closing, any advice for people who maybe who are in communities with similar situations to yours, who want to do something and don't know how to, or are intimidated by it?
Well, I have a slogan, and I tell people, when you want to help, just give. Just give is that simple. Like the Osei Center, we're funded for everything, but they need a TV. Mm-hmm. You might have an old TV in your house. You might have some books laying around. You might be a baker. You might design clothes. Just figure out your way to just give, So, yeah.
You know what? Yeah, that's actually great information, because for me, I give so much, but I have no idea where it goes, because I have a tendency to go to Goodwill or go to Salvation Army and just drop stuff off, and I'm like, I wish I knew where I could directly take some of this stuff to. So is there a place where I could find not resources, but information on who needs what and where I can deliver some of the things that I want to give?
Well, I have that same struggle with donating and not knowing where my stuff goes. So I personally take donations, and I like to post, and I like to show people where their stuff is going. I like to take pictures and send it to the people. I'll hold on to clothes, and then I'll find a young lady that needs that size. I don't know too many places that you can donate to, and where your stuff is going. Mm-hmm. Even with my, I asked for, on my Cash App, I asked for $3 donation because that's how much the bag costs. And me and my girlfriend get into it all the time because, I don't even want to use that money for gas. I know how nonprofits are set up, and, you're supposed to take your gas money or this, but I like to make sure it all goes to the kids. Mm-hmm. So if you would like to donate to Miss Hardy DC, you can go to Cash App. And the tag name is Miss Hardy DC, MISSHARDY DC.
I will say that I know about some Facebook groups in different neighborhoods, and they have different names for them, where it's message boards like that to say, oh, I have this old weed whacker or chainsaw or a TV or set of board games or something like that, and so that might be an option.
I go on Let Go
establish.
A lot too.
Yeah, oh yeah, exactly. So there are some opportunities out there with people, collaborating in that way, where organizations or government programs aren't really working.
Yeah,
so
because with this project, they're paying for everything. So I was determined to find someone that had an old TV. I didn't want anyone to buy it because I just wanted to show that we can. It doesn't take money to give. Somebody got an old TV, they can give up. So, yeah. Awesome.
Well, Ms. Hardy, thanks for coming and run through your contact information one more time for people, including the Cash App.
All right. My Instagram is Miss Hardy DC, and that's MISSHARDY. Facebook, Joanna Hardy. What else?
Can you spell that?
Joanna, Jawanna. Last name Hardy, Hardy. What was the third one?
Cash App.
Yeah, say the Cash App one more time.
And the Cash App. My Cash App is Miss Hardy DC, MISSHARDY.
Okay, look, we really appreciate you taking the time to come down here on top of all the time you're taking to do the work that you do. So thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you so much for having me, you guys.
Follow us on social media. We're both on IG. I'm at Steve Discourse. Jay Cali is It's Jay Cali, ITSJAYCALLI. And of course, I got to send a big shout out to my man Clifford Cartel, who composed all the original theme music. And of course, wherever you're listening to this, we really appreciate all the likes, all the comments. Let us know how you feel. Give us some feedback and share. Share it with your family. Share it with your friends. Hell, share it with your enemies. Honestly, we want more ears. We want more feedback. We want to know what you guys are doing, what we can do to serve you better. And we appreciate the love and support. Thank you.